Point 10, the siren time period. Bella becoming a vampire takes many, many, many hours. I'm not sure exactly how long. Maybe it's a full stretched out day. I'm not entirely sure. I just know it's a lot of agony. Something like 2 chapters worth of the book, and as I said before, long chapters worth of her going on about how excruciatingly painful it is to be slowly, horribly paralysed by the creepy vampire venom. Not good reading, in my opinion. If I had read those chapters myself, I would likely have skimmed them, since, you know, there's only so much ow, 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 ow you can summarise in purple prose. But, yeah, it takes sort of, you know, hours and stuff, but then she's instantly better. It just seems odd to me if you'd gone through excruciating agony to become this creature of the night. You could at least take a nap, like, or something. Get a bite to eat before you're jumping out of a second-story window in stilettos and an evening gown and going off to hunt. Which is, you know, a bit of an odd reaction, but I guess that's what they do. Darren's siring takes minutes. If that. I mean, the time for the blood to flow between the two characters, but it's painful. Unlike Bella, he experiences that pain and shows it. He cries out, he sweats, he feels nauseous afterwards. I mean, I think that annoyed me about Bella's siring. It's painful, oh, so utterly painful, but I'm strong and I can survive it, and it's like, ugh, get over yourself. But, yeah. And once the character down has been sired, the blood is in his body, and, you know, the process is done, but he isn't, like, instantly better. There is a moment where he says he thinks he can see better in the dark, and then he sort of second-guesses himself and goes, but maybe that's just because I've been in this dark cellar for so long that coming out, it's relatively light in comparison, so that's why I can see better and nothing to do with vampire blood in my veins. So over the next few days, he does then become stronger, faster, all the powers of a vampire. Okay, point 11. Reaction to becoming a vampire. As I have already said, Bella whoops for joy, acts kind of stoned for a while, watching dust motes circle in the air, then dresses in a ball gown and stilettos and jumps out of a second-story window. Because it's her dream come true to be a Meyer. I'm sorry, I cannot take this seriously. It's just... yes, in comparison, the character of Darren agrees to become a half-vampire. And I didn't cover the reason why, did I? No, I think I meant to, but I must have missed that. But let me just go over it quickly. Whereas Bella effectively just wants to be a Meyer because it's cool, and Edward's one, so she wants to be like him, so they can live together forever, blah blah blah. Darren only becomes a half-vampire because Steve has been poisoned by the tarantula that he stole, and only Mr. Krabsy has the antidote. And Mr. Krabsy says the only way that he will give Steve the antidote and save his life is if Darren agrees to become his assistant and become a half-vampire. And Darren doesn't like it, but it's a choice of become a half-vampire and kind of redeem the horrible deed that he did by being a thief and stealing from a vampire, even though he knew it was wrong and he knew it would have terrible consequences, or let his best friend die in a way that was his fault and live with the guilt of that for the rest of his life. So it's, you know, for a character who has loyalty and bravery and stuff, it's kind of, you know, it's obvious he's going to become a vampire. It's the only decision he can make. But as I was saying, yeah, reaction to becoming a vampire, whereas Bella's all, woo, isn't it brilliant? Darren tries to run. He tries to abandon the deal that he's made. He tries to go back to having his human life because he isn't hurt by the sun, so he thinks everything will be normal and he'll just be stronger and faster, and in a way he tries to use that to his advantage. He gets better at playing football with his friends, and Yeah, that's actually like the only decent thing he does with his vampire powers. You'd think he'd like do something, but no, he plays some really good football. Really good football. But then everything comes tumbling down because one of his friends cuts his knee, and then he drinks the blood from the wound because he's overcome by his vampire urges, and then he hypnotizes his little sister and almost drinks her blood, and then he realizes, I'm doomed, I must go and, you know, become a half vampire properly and learn to control my urges and, you know, that sort of thing. So he goes to Mr. Crepley and apologizes, and effectively does everything he's told because he knows he has no other choice. It's not a good thing for him. It's just what his life has become, in a way, and he sort of accepts that. Also, I feel that Darren responds to becoming a vampire in a very mature manner, considering his age, because he is only about, as I said, 10 to 12 when he is sired. Maybe it's mostly the influence of Mr. Crepley. The way he handles it is quite mature in terms of how he leaves, in that he fakes his death. Mr. Crepley assists him in faking his death because he has to leave town, because the Cirque du Freak and Mr. Crepley are, you know, they're moving on, they're leaving town, and Darren has to go with him. And rather than have his parents live in false hope that he'll return sometime, and there being missing posters up and stuff, it would make life too difficult for them. So they, in a very practical manner, fake his death, and so everything works out well for everyone. Yes, there's some horrible grief to endure, but it would be much better than, you know, living in constant painful hope that your lost child will return someday when actually he's become a hideous creature of the night, kind of thing. Bella doesn't really respond maturely, as I've said, leaping out of a window. Do any mature people jump out of windows? Is there like a jumping out of windows class in college? Probably is somewhere. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here.